Hello and welcome to one of the most important math videos you will ever watch, and that is the introduction to the Pythagorean Theorem. This is one of the most important theorems in math in general, and the important thing here is that it only applies to right triangles. So it's a triangle that has to have a right angle in it for you to use this theorem, and the theorem itself is really easy. All it says is that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And it's for a triangle, and the a and the b represent the legs of the triangle, the lengths of the legs, and c is the hypotenuse. So I wrote here that the hypotenuse is the side across from the right angle, but let's just do an example really quick. Sorry for this poorly drawn triangle, it won't be perfect, but hopefully you can at least get the point. So what it's saying is that this would be a right angle. So the side across from the right angle, this one is going to be hypotenuse, and it says the hypotenuse is c, so that's going to be side c. Then the legs, those are just basically the sides that aren't the hypotenuse, will be represented by a and b. So we could say this would be one of the triangles, and then we could say, well, the Pythagorean theorem says a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So what it does is that if we have two of the lengths, if we knew a and b, for example, we could figure out what the hypotenuse was. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to go through some practice problems here. So example 1. We have a triangle. We've got two sides, both of the legs, right? Because we see the hypotenuse is this x is the hypotenuse. I'll just say hypotenuse. So we know that that's the c. So that's going to be the c length. And then we're given the two legs. We're given 4 and 8. So let's just write down the Pythagorean theorem. It's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Memorize this as quickly as you can because you're going to have to use it all the time. And like we said, the legs are a squared and b squared. So 4 is a. We could say that. It doesn't matter. 8 would be b. Equals, well, the variable is x, but it doesn't really matter. We could just make it. If we say that x is c, we could just do x squared. So it could be either one. And now what's 4 squared? So now we just solve that and we can find the length of the hypotenuse. 4 squared is 16, 8 squared is 64, and this equals that side length squared. 16 plus 64, that'll give us 80 equals x squared. And then how do we get rid of this square term? We take the square root of both sides, and we get x, that extra side length that we don't know yet, equals the square root of 80. And we could simplify that, but I won't for now. I'll get into that in some other videos where we keep on practicing with the Pythagorean theorem. Today I just want to show you how it works. So that's one example of how you use the Pythagorean theorem, and we just were able to figure out the length of the hypotenuse. It is the square root of 80. So example 2. Now we're given the hypotenuse this time because the hypotenuse is again the side across from the right angle. This is the hypotenuse, 15. And we're given one of the leg lengths. This one isn't drawn to scale, sorry about that, but you can still solve it the same way. So let's write out the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, and we know the hypotenuse. We know c is 15. Then we need to square it. Okay, and we know b. It doesn't really matter what side of the triangle it's on, just the legs are either a or b. So we'll be solving for a. So a squared plus 14 squared equals 15 squared. So a squared plus 14 squared is 196. 15 squared is 225. And now you need to just solve for a squared. So subtract 196 from both sides. A squared equals, should be, I believe, 29 for that. Then we're going to take the square root of both sides, and we get a equals the square root of 29. That actually can't be simplified because 29 is a prime number, so it doesn't have a square root. So we know that this side length here, I can finish labeling, is going to be the square root of 29. So again, what you can do is when you're given two sides, you can solve for the third, and that is how you use the Pythagorean theorem. So just memorize it. A squared plus b squared equals c squared, where a and b are the legs, and c is the hypotenuse, which is the side across from the right angle. So hope this was able to help. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.